What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon Smith. So I've been away for a little while, and for that I apologize. Life happens, priorities change, and motivation wanes. But I'm back now with a renewed sense of vigor and ready to go. And I wrote this whole thing about April showers because it was raining all morning, but as you can see now, it's beautiful and sunny out. So no intro. Let's get right into the case. The day is Friday, April 15th, 2005. The song Candy Shop by American rapper 50 Cent featuring Olivia is #1 on the Billboard charts. The film Sahara, starring Matthew McConaughey, Penelope Cruz, and Steve Zahn, is #1 at the box office. And just 8 days from now, the first ever video will be uploaded to YouTube entitled Me at the Zoo by the site's co-creator Jawad Karim. Meanwhile, in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, District Attorney Ray Gricar is playing hooky from work and creating himself a self-imposed long weekend of sorts. He is driving through the second state countryside in his bright red Mini Cooper. Satisfied with cruising for a while, he eases the vehicle into a parking space adjacent to a secondhand antique store. He exits the car and walks into the abyss, never to be seen again. This day in mystery. Friday, April 15th, 2005, in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, is sunny and pleasant. With a daytime high of 19 degrees Celsius, spring has definitely sprung in the Keystone State. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, on October 9th, 1945, Ray Gricar is now 59 years old. Gricar attended Dayton University, where after interning for the prosecutor's office, he developed an interest in pursuing a career in law. The university student also developed an interest in a fellow Dayton Flyer named Barbara Gray. The two started dating, and Barbara followed Ray back to Cleveland, where Gricar continued his legal studies at Case Western Reserve University. In 1969, the two married, and in 1978, the wedded couple adopted a baby girl named Lara. In 1980, the couple moved to Pennsylvania, where Barbara accepted a position with Penn State University. Following the move, Ray took on the role of stay-at-home dad to his young daughter. However, the tenure did not last long, and Ray was offered an assistant district attorney position by Center County District Attorney David E. Grine. In 1985, the incumbent district attorney, Robert Mix, chose not to run for re-election, so Ray campaigned for the open position. He would win the race by a mere 600 votes. He was re-elected to DA in 1989, 1993, 1997, and 2001. Successful in office, Ray wasn't as fortunate in his personal life. Barbara and Ray divorced in 1991. Gricar remarried in 1996, but this marriage also did not last, and Ray found himself secondly divorced in 2001. In 2002, Ray met Patty Fornicola, an employee at the Center County District Attorney's Office where he worked. Ray and Patty started dating in 2003, and in April 2005, the couple was residing in Fornicola's childhood home in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. 2005 was another election year for the district attorney's office, but Ray had already determined that he would not seek re-election. He was instead opting for an early retirement. A notorious late riser, on the morning of April 15, 2005, Ray Gricar is sound asleep in his bed as his girlfriend Patty finishes her breakfast downstairs. At 8:30 a.m., Patty pours a glass of orange juice and leaves it on the countertop for her slumbering beloved before leaving for the office. At 11:30 a.m., the phone rings in the Center County District Attorney's office. Patty answers the phone. Ray is on the other end of the call. "Oh, hello," he says, surprised to find his girlfriend at the beckon of the telephone. Ray tells Patty that he will not be coming into the office that day. This truancy isn't all that unusual for Ray nowadays. Everyone in the office knows of the man's impending retirement, so Ray doesn't have the same need for consistency that he would if re-election was of the same concern. He tells his girlfriend that he is currently driving through the Brush Valley area northeast of Center Hall. Patty tells him to enjoy his day off and that she will see him back home that evening before ending the call. At 4:30 p.m., the office closes for the weekend and Patty returns home. Ray's car is not in the driveway and Ray is not in the home. Patty thinks that Ray, a lifelong fan, may have stopped at a bar to watch the game and figures he will be home later. At 5:30 p.m., she heads off to the gym for a workout. At 7:30 p.m., she again returns home to an empty house. Now, sufficiently concerned with his absence, she tries to reach Ray on his cell phone. No answer. Patty changes out of her gym clothes and showers. She spends the rest of the evening waiting for Gricar to come home. He never does. At 3:20 a.m. on the morning of April 16th, 2005, unable to locate her boyfriend, Patty Fornicola calls the police to report Ray Gricar as missing. Belafonte police receive the report and get right to work. Because of his lofty position and connection to the police force, the authorities are purposeful in their investigation. They arrive at the couple's residence and do a cursory search of the property for clues. Nothing arouses their suspicion. They interview Patty and she tells them of what she knows of Ray's reported movements from the previous day. Patty also tells police that Ray's vehicle, a 2004 Mini Cooper, is also missing. It doesn't take the authorities long to track down the car. They find the Mini Cooper in the parking lot of an antique store in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, about an hour east of Belafonte. Inside the vehicle is Ray's county-issued cell phone. The car is tidy and police can see no indication of foul play. They canvass the area around the vehicle, but no trace of Ray is located. Police bring in sniffer dogs, and the canine's behavior seems to indicate that Ray may have gotten into another vehicle, as the dogs remain very near to Ray's own vehicle. With Ray's car located but still no sign of the 59-year-old DA, police double back to the woman at the epicenter of the investigation, Patty Fornicola. They ask her to take a polygraph test. Patty agrees and passes with flying colors. With Patty now off their radar for the time being, they cast their probe outward and speak to Ray's daughter, Laura. Laura has no idea where her father is and says she last spoke to him on Thursday evening. Detectives also asked Laura to take a polygraph test. She also agrees and she also passes. A district attorney disappearing without a trace is of great concern, but without a motive or evidence to consider, detectives are at a standstill. On July 30th, 2005, a man fishing beneath a bridge between Lewisburg and Milton in the Susquehanna River finds Gricar's county-issued laptop. Its hard drive is missing from the device. 2 months later, a man recovers a hard drive on the banks of the same river. Since the hard drive is found approximately 100 yards from the location of the laptop, investigators hypothesize that it is the missing hard drive from Ray's laptop. However, it is badly damaged, and all analysis conducted by the FBI, the Secret Service, and the data recovery firm Crawl on Track failed to recover anything from the hard drive, and it cannot be conclusively identified as Gricar's. On the 5th anniversary of Gricar's disappearance, Belafonte police reveal that shortly before his disappearance, someone had used the home computer at the residence he shared with Fornicola to perform internet searches on topics such as how to wreck a hard drive, how to fry a hard drive, and water damage to a notebook computer. On July 26, 2011, police in Utah arrest a man on a misdemeanor charge of public intoxication. In custody, the man refuses to provide authorities with his identity. Someone within the jail notices that the man bears a striking resemblance to the missing district attorney from Pennsylvania, Ray Gricar. He is the same approximate height and the same approximate weight. Additionally, police officials believe the man is somewhere between 60 and 70 years of age. Ray Gricar would be 65 years old in 2011. Police from Utah send the unidentified man's fingerprints to police in Pennsylvania for comparison. However, the fingerprints are no match, and the man is subsequently identified as 61-year-old New Mexico native Philip Beavers. With this lead also quashed, the question remains, is Ray Gricar alive and well, or dead and gone? In May 1996, Ray Gricar's older brother, Roy, disappeared from his Westchester, Ohio home. His body was found a week later in the Great Miami River. Authorities ruled his death as a suicide. Ray was decimated by the death of his only sibling, and everyone around him said the loss was an ever-present part of his life. In their investigation into Ray Gricar's disappearance, police became aware of the details surrounding Roy Gricar's death and couldn't help but notice some similarities. Ray's vehicle was parked adjacent to two bridges over a river. Roy's vehicle was parked adjacent to a bridge over a single river. Police had to wonder if Ray, in a morbid homage, took his life in the same way his brother had, and wondered if Ray, unlike Roy, had just simply not been found. With the similarities at the fore of the investigation, the suicide theory became the primary theory around the Belafonte police station. Ray's family, however, strongly denied this theory. They pointed out that Gricar had no medical history of depression or of suicidal thoughts. Additionally, according to his family, Ray was looking forward to his upcoming retirement. Why would a man with so much going for him choose to take his own life? The family adamantly denied that Ray would choose to end his own life. They instead believed the man they loved was murdered and urged investigators to consider the foul play angle. They suggested that Gricar's disappearance might be linked to the unsolved death of Jonathan Luna, an assistant U.S. attorney who was found dead in a Lancaster County creek about 150 kilometers from where Ray's car was found in December 2003 under very mysterious circumstances, and a case that I already covered on my channel, which you can check out right here. Like Luna, Gricar had recently been involved in a high-profile drug case. Ray was the prosecutor in the case that led to a local heroin-dealing ring being jailed. The criminals in this case, as well as the criminals involved in Luna's last case, were investigated for any links to Ray's disappearance, but none was found. Ray Gricar was tasked with prosecuting some really bad people, all of whom would certainly have at least some motivation to make the man disappear. However, a man that Ray chose not to prosecute is often at the forefront of speculation regarding Ray Gricar's disappearance. That man is Jerry Sandusky. Jerry Sandusky was an assistant football coach at Penn State University from 1979 to 1999. In addition to coaching, Sandusky also founded a not-for-profit charity serving Pennsylvania's underprivileged and at-risk youth called the Second Mile. Jerry Sandusky was seen as an altruistic force of nature in Happy Valley, but behind closed doors, Jerry Sandusky was a monster. In 1999, a woman told District Attorney Gricar that Sandusky had been sexually inappropriate with her son in a Penn State shower. Gricar, unable to corroborate the story and aware of Jerry Sandusky's squeaky clean image in the community, declined to file charges. In 2011, following a 2-year grand jury investigation, Sandusky was arrested and charged with 52 counts of sexual abuse of young boys over a 15-year period from 1994 to 2009. The alleged victims included the son of the woman who had approached Gricar in 1999. Police wondered if someone associated with the abuse, one of the victim's family members, someone within Penn State University, or even Jerry Sandusky himself, could have been responsible for Ray Gricar's disappearance. On June 22, 2012, Sandusky was found guilty on 45 counts of sexual abuse. On October 9, 2012, he was sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison. His earliest possible release date is October 9, 2042, at which time Jerry Sandusky would be 98 years old. So the police had a theory and the family had a theory, and while incongruous in detail, both suppositions ended with Ray Gricar being deceased. But there was another idea altogether, one that had Gricar very much alive and amongst us. The theory that Ray wished to start a new life and engineered his own disappearance to do just that. Reportedly, Gricar was enamored with the case of Cleveland Police Chief Mel Wiley. In July 1985, Wiley disappeared from Cleveland, Ohio. 4 days after he was last seen, his vehicle was found parked near the shores of Lake Erie. Police initially feared that Wiley had committed suicide or been a victim of abduction. However, upon further investigation, they became convinced that Mel Wiley had staged his own disappearance. Mel Wiley has never been located. Gricar was semi-fluent in Russian and fluent in Slovenian. He had relatives in Slovenia and had made trips to this region of the world multiple times, so police had to consider the option that Central Europe could certainly be a destination Ray would travel to if he in fact wanted to start anew. There have been numerous alleged sightings of Gricar both overseas and throughout the United States in the years following his disappearance. None of the sightings, however, have been confirmed, and Ray Gricar remains unaccounted for. All right, so what do I think happened? The disappearance of Ray Gricar is as confounding as it is heartbreaking. I can't imagine what it would be like to have someone so germane to my life taken from it so abruptly, and I truly feel for the people in Ray's life. The case of Ray Gricar definitely got a good amount of coverage. There was a disappeared episode, lots of news articles, etc., etc. But considering the fact that he is the first and only acting district attorney to go missing, I'm actually surprised there isn't more coverage and more of a push to solve this case. So let's talk specifics. Actually, not yet. First, I want to make an appeal to you guys and gals, my favorite people in the entire world, the people who care about these individuals just as much as I do. Please don't attack me personally or anyone else in the comments. I've said it before, but I will say it again. When I posit my theory, I don't claim to have any more knowledge than anyone else. I'm just a man who does his research, considers the facts, and offers a determination. Wholesale condemnation without specific insight is not helpful and does a disservice to the people I talk about in these videos. I am so proud of the true crime community because I think we are a well-intentioned collective who want nothing more than to be of assistance. These are tough cases, and the subject matter I deal with is invariably dark, but even so, I believe that we can still be a beacon of positivity and service. All right, thanks for listening. Specifics. All right, what happened? First, let's begin with starting anew. Ray was reportedly fascinated with the case of Cleveland Police Chief Mel Wiley. Interestingly, as someone who is admittedly obsessed with true crime, I had never heard of Mel Wiley. His story is bizarre and definitely worth a read. Without getting into all of the details, I will say there are definitely some parallels in both the disappearance of Mel Wiley and Ray Gricar. However, while I believe the evidence strongly suggests that Mel chose to walk out on his life, I do not believe such a conclusion can be drawn in the case of Ray Gricar. Maybe it's my psychology background, but when I consider someone's behavior, I most strongly consider their underlying motivation. If Ray were to walk out on his life, what would his motivation be? He was 8 months from retirement. He was financially stable. He was in a committed and by all accounts happy relationship. Even if you believe the relationship wasn't a happy one, he could have just ended it. He wasn't adverse to divorce. He had ended relationships this way twice before, and in this instance, he wasn't even married, so a divorce wouldn't have been necessary. I guess what I'm trying to say is Ray Gricar could have done all of the things associated with leaving it all behind without, well, leaving. It wasn't necessary, and to hurt the people in his life in this manner would be cruel, and I don't think Ray was a cruel man. So I'm ruling it out. Next, let's talk about Jerry Sandusky. For those of you not familiar with the case of Jerry Sandusky, as I said before, the man was a monster. A depraved, disgusting excuse for humanity. But I think in the case of Ray Gricar, Jerry Sandusky had nothing to do with his disappearance. As a journalism graduate, I think a lot of my contemporaries are guilty of tacking on a so-called big name into your headlines in an attempt to garner viewership. For those of you much younger than myself, think of it as a prehistoric form of clickbaiting. I think this is what happened in this case. We know that Ray and Jerry had some association. The mother of one of the abused boys came to Ray in 1999. And could the connection have gone deeper? It is certainly a possibility. However, the woman came to Ray in 1999, but Ray disappeared in 2005. 6 years is a long time to wait for retribution, and if another unidentified individual came to Ray with allegations of abuse sometime after that, maybe nearer to 2005, and again Ray declined to investigate, I would think the sense of outrage of this person would never be more feverish than at that very moment. I just can't think of a scenario where the spurned follows Ray to an antique store and abducts him in the middle of the afternoon. Additionally, I considered the possibility that a Penn State official or Jerry Sandusky himself somehow became convinced that Gricar had information that would lead to their undoing and silenced him, but I arrived at the same conclusion. The timeline and scenario just don't work. I would have to believe that Gricar somehow only became aware of this smoking gun evidence the morning he disappeared, as there was no indication that Gricar had initiated an investigation or went to anyone with contemporaneous information at any time leading up to his disappearance. For all of these reasons, I am also ruling out foul play. It is a fact that someone in Ray's household made searches about ruining a hard drive in the weeks before his disappearance. I believe that it was Ray who conducted these searches. I believe he conducted these searches already of the mind that he would soon be taking his life. What was on the hard drive, I don't think we'll ever know. But I think many of us have done things online that we are not exactly proud of. At the very least, things we wouldn't want our loved ones knowing about in our passing. Maybe Ray did uncover information regarding the depths of Jerry Sandusky's crimes, and racked with guilt, he sought to cleanse his hard drive of this evidence. I don't think this is the case, but it's certainly, again, a possibility. I believe in regarding the past, we often sensationalize aspects of a story. It's human nature to do so, and I myself am guilty of it at times. It's easy to blur lines and inflate circumstances in the absence of evidence, but most often it's just mundane incidents that occur in the unknown. As such, I believe that on April 15, 2005, Ray Gricar brushes his teeth, shaves, and showers like normal. He calls his office to tell them of his intentions to skip work, but when his girlfriend answers the phone, he is caught off guard. But the circumstance does not deter him from his course. He says goodbye to Patty for the final time and sets off. With the weather bright and sunny, Ray steers his red Mini Cooper through the Pennsylvania landscape. He parks at an antique store and collects his laptop from the passenger seat. He finds himself on a wrought iron bridge overlooking the Susquehanna River. He surveys the nature around him and finds inner peace in the tranquility of the afternoon. He removes the hard drive from the laptop and hurls it into the water below. Moments later, he sends the laptop skipping across the water in the opposite direction. Devoid of possessions now, just a man alone, Ray Gricar takes one last deep breath and jumps into the water under the bridge. In June 2011, Ray Gricar's daughter, Laura, petitioned to have her father declared dead. On July 25, 2011, County President, Judge, and Gricar's former boss, David E. Grine, declared the man dead in absentia. The declaration was a hollow formality, as Laura has always believed that her father died sometime on the afternoon of April 15th, 2005. While Belafonte police still believe internally that Ray Gricar committed suicide, that has not stopped them from enlisting the aid of state officials and the FBI in their ongoing investigation. A $10,000 reward for information regarding the whereabouts of Ray Gricar expired in April 2006, and no reward is currently being offered in this case. Thank you so much for listening to the story of Ray Gricar. Please be sure to like and subscribe. As always, please know that you are a wonderful individual who is capable of good. If you are struggling right now for any reason, just remember that we are in this together and you are here for a reason. Be kind to yourself and everyone you come in contact with. I'm Brandon Smith, and I'll see you next time.